A millionaire CEO redials a missed interview out of spite. But when a little boy picks up and whispers, "My mom said she's sorry she couldn't come. She was busy dying," the entire boardroom falls silent. Hudson Graves slammed his palm down on the polished walnut desk, the sound cracking through the 47th floor suite like a gunshot. The Manhattan skyline glittered behind him, a cold monument to the billion-dollar tech empire he had built from sheer obsession. "Unbelievable," he growled. Across from him, Victoria Lane, his executive assistant of 16 years, stood perfectly still, a calm shadow amidst his storm. She didn't even cancel Victoria, a senior-level marketing position. And not even the decency of a voicemail? Her references were stellar, Victoria said carefully, her tone measured. "Perhaps something urgent. I don't care if her house was on fire. You don't ghost Graves Technologies." He swept the resume off his desk in disgust. Victoria stayed silent. She had learned long ago not to speak during these outbursts. Hudson was 45. No wife, no kids, no hobbies, just control, power, and the lonely view of success from a penthouse window. "Give me her number," he said coldly. "Mr. Graves, I'll call her myself. She needs to learn how this city works." Reluctantly, Victoria handed him the contact information for Rebecca Holloway. Hudson punched in the digits, rehearsing the verbal evisceration in his mind. The phone rang once, twice, a third time. Then a voice, small, male, childlike. "Hello?" Hudson blinked. "I'm looking for Rebecca Holloway. She's in the bathroom," the boy said. "She's crying." The words froze something deep in Hudson's chest. "She's sad because she missed her meeting. She had to go get food for us before the place closed. She said the job was going to fix everything." Hudson slowly sat back, stunned. The speech he'd prepared vanished like fog in sunlight. "What's your name, kid?" "I'm Liam. I'm 6. A pause. "Are you the man from the computer? Mommy says you're important." Hudson didn't answer, because suddenly he wasn't sure he was. Hudson Graves gripped the phone tighter. His mind, once a fortress of control, now cracked under the boy's voice. Did your mom say why she missed the meeting?" he asked, trying to keep his voice even. "Because we didn't have food. She said the pantry was empty again. The church place closes early on Thursdays." Hudson stared at the city below, its glitter mocking him. "She said maybe this job would change things," Liam added quietly. "She was going to tell you the truth." Hudson's voice lowered. "What truth?" There was a shuffle on the line, then a gasp. A woman's voice came through, strained, breathless. "Mr. Graves?" Hudson stood back, stiffening. "Miss Holloway, I was calling to—" "I'm so sorry," she interrupted, her voice trembling. "I can explain everything." But Hudson's world had already begun to tilt. "Your son," he said slowly. "He said some things. That you missed the interview because of a food bank. That you told him I'm important. That I was in pictures. On your computer." There was silence. Then, almost brokenly, he found a photo. From years ago. Hudson's mouth went dry. "What kind of photo?" "A beach. A weekend conference in San Diego. We only saw each other once. You probably don't remember. But I remember everything." Hudson felt something coil in his chest, tight, electric. "He has your eyes," she whispered. "The same steel gray. I tried to reach you after, but your assistant—" He didn't hear the rest. His mind had returned to that weekend. One evening. Rebecca. Brilliant, sharp-witted, unforgettable, and then forgotten. Now her 6-year-old son had his eyes. "I can't have children," he muttered, almost to himself. "I was told that at 14. Rebecca's voice broke. "Then someone lied to you." Hudson stood frozen, the weight of 6 words anchoring him to the floor. "Then someone lied to you." Rebecca's voice on the phone was soft now, but resolute. "I tried for months, Hudson. I called your office. I emailed. Everything was blocked. Then I stopped trying. I had to survive, alone." He didn't speak. Couldn't. His mind was a carousel of disbelief. Memories he'd buried. A diagnosis he'd never questioned. His father in that cold, sterile clinic, nodding as the doctor delivered the verdict. Infertile, sterile, incapable of fatherhood. He had lived by that truth, built a life on it, and now a boy named Liam, with his eyes, had just detonated everything. "Send me your address," he said, his voice colder than he meant. "I'm coming over." "Hudson, But he had already ended the call. Victoria watched in stunned silence as her boss stormed out of the office. She had never seen him like this, face pale, hands trembling, movements rushed. He never left midday, never unscheduled. The car ride to the Bronx was a blur. The farther he got from glass towers and luxury lobbies, the more out of place he felt. Kids played in cracked sidewalks. Apartment bricks peeled under years of neglect. He double-checked the address. Unit 4C, 4th floor. No elevator. He climbed. Outside her door, he hesitated, just long enough to feel the weight of his next move. Then he knocked. Footsteps, a chain sliding back. The door creaked open, revealing a woman he hadn't seen in over 6 years. Rebecca Holloway, tired, worn, beautiful, and behind her, half hidden, a little boy with gray eyes and a solemn stare. "Are you really my dad?" Liam asked. Hudson Graves, billionaire, CEO, feared by boardrooms, stood speechless in a hallway that smelled of boiled cabbage and cleaning fluid. And he had no idea what to say. Rebecca unlatched the door and stepped aside. "You should come in." Hudson entered cautiously, his sharp eyes taking in the space. Small, clean, humble. A faded couch. A worn coffee table. Coding textbooks stacked beside an aging laptop. On the fridge, crayon drawings and one printed photo. He stopped. It was Liam's sketch, a family of 3. One short figure labeled me, a taller one with glasses, Mom, and another in a suit and tie, standing apart. Dad in NYC. His throat tightened. "Liam," Rebecca said gently, "why don't you go finish your puzzle in your room, okay?" The boy hesitated, studying Hudson again, then gave a polite nod and disappeared behind a thin wooden door. Hudson remained standing. "Is he mine?" Rebecca didn't blink. "Yes." "I need a DNA test." "Fine," her voice was calm. "I never asked you for anything, Hudson. Not your name. Not your money. Not your attention." He glanced around the apartment. Clearly, the jab landed harder than he intended. Rebecca flinched. "I've been raising him alone. Coding freelance projects after he sleeps, skipping meals when groceries ran short. And still, I never painted you as the villain. He thinks you're brilliant, because I let him believe that." Hudson turned toward the fridge again. He stared at the drawing. "You could have told me." "I tried. Your assistant filtered me out like spam." Hudson didn't deny it. He remembered the San Diego conference, the evening on the balcony, the laughter, the stars. And then, just another city, another meeting, another dismissal. But Liam wasn't a mistake in a hotel room. He was real. "I'll schedule the test tomorrow," Hudson said. Rebecca nodded. "And what happens after?" He didn't answer. Because for the first time in his life, Hudson Graves didn't know. 3 days. Hudson hadn't eaten, barely slept. His meetings blurred, his signature robotic. The entire world had condensed to one number. The result? He sat alone in his penthouse, floor to ceiling. Windows offering $1 billion view of Manhattan, though he hadn't looked outside once. His phone rang. Arthur Langston, his attorney and old friend, was on the line. "It's confirmed, Hudson. 99.998% probability. Liam Holloway is your biological son." Hudson exhaled sharply, almost a gasp. "Are you absolutely sure?" Arthur's voice was soft. "Yes, and there's something else." A pause. "I had my firm cross-reference your childhood records. That sterility diagnosis, it was never medically finalized." "What?" Hudson's voice cracked. "Your father requested it be marked as permanent, but your original blood work suggests your condition. Reduced fertility, not eliminated it. There's no record of a final sperm count test. It was managed." Hudson staggered to the bar, poured a drink, and didn't touch it. "Why would he do that?" "You know your father. Legacy over lineage. Control over chaos." Hudson hung up. In his mind, the pieces clattered into place. The cold visits to doctors, the lectures about sacrifice, the way his father made emotions feel like weakness. And now here was Liam, steel gray eyes, logic-driven speech, already dismantling toy cars with surgical focus. Hudson didn't just have a son. He had a son who mirrored him in ways that unsettled and amazed him. He opened his laptop, pulled up Rebecca's address again, then picked up his keys and walked out, leaving behind the empire he thought was everything. The apartment smelled faintly of applesauce and printer ink. Rebecca opened the door without hesitation this time. She looked tired but composed. Hudson stepped inside, slower than before. "Where's Liam?" "In his room, sorting Lego bricks by size. He's been doing it for an hour." Hudson almost smiled. "Of course he is." They sat across from each other at the small kitchen table. A single dim bulb above them swayed slightly with the radiator's hum. "The results came in," Hudson said. Rebecca nodded. "I know. Arthur emailed me. I didn't want to be the first to speak. It's true. He's mine." I never doubted it. Hudson studied her. She hadn't asked for anything. Not even acknowledgement. Just space, just time. And still, somehow, she'd raised a child who knew nothing of bitterness. "I want to be involved," Hudson said finally. Rebecca didn't react. "Why now?" "Because I missed 6 years I can never get back. But I won't miss another day." She folded her hands. "You're not buying your way into his life. You need to understand that. This isn't about donations or inheritance or controlling schedules like a boardroom. I'm not here as a CEO, Rebecca. You don't know how to be anything else." Hudson looked toward the hallway. Liam's voice drifted faintly, counting, reciting something about rocket boosters. "I don't know what I'm doing," Hudson admitted. Rebecca blinked at him. "But I'm willing to learn." Just then, Liam emerged with a plastic spaceship in hand. "Mom," he said, "can Mr. Graves stay for dinner?" Rebecca looked at Hudson. He said nothing, letting her lead. She stood up. "Only if he likes spaghetti with ketchup." "I've survived investor takeovers," Hudson said dryly. "I can survive that." And for the first time in years, he meant it. The hospital room was silent but not still. Machines ticked. Monitors pulsed. Sunlight pressed through slanted blinds and fell across Liam's face. Pale, quiet, too still for a 6-year-old. Hudson Graves sat beside the bed, hands folded. His gaze fixed on the IV drip like it was a code he could crack. Rebecca stood across the room, arms crossed tight over her chest, trying to be steel. But she wasn't steel. She was bone and breath and sleepless nights. The news had broken both of them. Alport syndrome. Genetic. Progressive. Silent. Liam's kidneys were failing. Hudson had listened to the doctor with the same intensity. He once reserved for quarterly earnings reports. But this wasn't business. There was no strategy to outmaneuver. No competitor to beat. There was only time. And it was slipping. The specialist, a calm woman named Dr. Eaton, laid out the path. "Dialysis will stabilize him, but long-term, he'll need a transplant. Sooner than we hoped. Can I be tested?" Hudson asked without hesitation. Rebecca's eyes flicked toward him, unreadable. "Yes," Dr. Eaton said. "We'll run the full tissue typing. If you're his biological father, there's a strong chance." "He is," Hudson said firmly. The doctor nodded. The next 48 hours passed in fragments. Vials drawn. Paperwork signed. Liam, unaware of the gravity, whispered about rocket ships and asked if he could have pudding again. Rebecca barely slept. Hudson didn't leave. When the call came, it was 6:43 a.m. Hudson had just stepped into the hallway. Phone pressed to his ear like a lifeline. "You're not just compatible," Dr. Eaton said. "You're an extraordinary match." His best possible option. Hudson closed his eyes. His body slumped back against the wall, like someone had finally turned off a tension valve inside him. Relief, terror, all at once. Rebecca joined him seconds later. "Well, I'm his match," Hudson said. "I can give him my kidney." She let out a breath, ragged and long. Her body folded into the wall opposite his. "That doesn't fix everything," she said softly. "It fixes the only thing that matters." She turned her face away. "Surgery comes with risk for both of you. You know that." "I know." His voice was firm. "And I've never been more certain of anything in my life." There was a pause. The kind that speaks louder than words. Then she asked quietly, "Why are you really doing this, Hudson? Guilt? Obligation?" Hudson looked her straight in the eye. "No, because I missed the first 6 years of my son's life. And I will not miss the rest." Liam's surgery was scheduled for the following Thursday. In the days leading up to it, life in Rebecca's apartment became a strange echo of normal. Hudson slept on the couch. He cooked Liam's restricted meals by the book. He helped with math homework that turned into rocket diagrams. The air was thick, not with tension, but with something heavier, hope disguised as fear. On Tuesday morning, Liam padded into the kitchen wearing mismatched socks and dragging his favorite stuffed robot. Hudson Graves sat beside the bed, hands folded. His gaze fixed on the IV drip like it was a code he could crack. Rebecca stood across the room, arms crossed tight over her chest, trying to be steel. But she wasn't steel. She was bone and breath and sleepless nights. The news had broken both of them. Alport syndrome. Genetic. Progressive. Silent. Liam's kidneys were failing. Hudson had listened to the doctor with the same intensity he once reserved for quarterly earnings reports. But this wasn't business. There was no strategy to outmaneuver, no competitor to beat. There was only time, and it was slipping. The specialist, a calm woman named Dr. Eaton, laid out the path. Dialysis will stabilize him, but long-term, he'll need a transplant. Sooner than we hoped. Can I be tested? Hudson asked without hesitation. Rebecca's eyes flicked toward him, unreadable. Yes, Dr. Eaton said. We'll run the full tissue typing. If you're his biological father, there's a strong chance. He is, Hudson said firmly. The doctor nodded. The next 48 hours passed in fragments. Vials drawn. Paperwork signed. Liam, unaware of the gravity, whispered about rocket ships and asked if he could have pudding again. Rebecca barely slept. Hudson didn't leave. When the call came, it was 6:43 a.m. Hudson had just stepped into the hallway. Phone pressed to his ear like a lifeline. You're not just compatible, Dr. Eaton said. You're an extraordinary match. His best possible option. Hudson closed his eyes. His body slumped back against the wall, like someone had finally turned off a tension valve inside him. Relief, terror, all at once. Rebecca joined him seconds later. Well, I'm his match, Hudson said. I can give him my kidney. She let out a breath, ragged and long. Her body folded into the wall opposite his. That doesn't fix everything, she said softly. It fixes the only thing that matters. She turned her face away. Surgery comes with risk for both of you. You know that. I know. His voice was firm. And I've never been more certain of anything in my life. There was a pause. The kind that speaks louder than words. Then she asked quietly, Why are you really doing this, Hudson? Guilt? Obligation? Hudson looked her straight in the eye. No, because I missed the first 6 years of my son's life. And I will not miss the rest. Liam's surgery was scheduled for the following Thursday. In the days leading up to it, life in Rebecca's apartment became a strange echo of normal. Hudson slept on the couch. He cooked Liam's restricted meals by the book. He helped with math homework that turned into rocket diagrams. The air was thick, not with tension, but with something heavier, hope disguised as fear. On Tuesday morning, Liam padded into the kitchen wearing mismatched socks and dragging his favorite stuffed robot. 2 surgeries. 1 child, 1 father. Both under knives. Both under lights. She had no prayers left. Only breath. Hours passed. Then finally, Dr. Eaton appeared, her surgical cap still in place. Her voice calm, but only barely. Liam's new kidney is in place and functioning. Rebecca nearly collapsed. He's stable. The transfer was smooth. We'll monitor closely for rejection, but right now he's doing remarkably well. Tears spilled over before she realized it. Dr. Eaton placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Mr. Graves is also recovering well. He lost more blood than expected, but nothing we couldn't manage. Rebecca nodded, too choked to speak. You can see Liam shortly. Hudson will need longer, but both are past the danger. When Rebecca stepped into Liam's recovery room, she gasped. He was tiny, pale, a tangle of IV lines, beeping monitors, and soft cotton blankets. But his chest rose and fell, slowly, steadily. She took his hand. He opened his eyes. Hey, she whispered. Hey, Mom. His voice was raspy but sure. Is Dad okay? She smiled. He's okay. You both are. Liam blinked once. Good. Then he fell asleep again, his hand still wrapped around hers. Later, Rebecca was led into Hudson's room. He looked wrecked. Tubes and wires like vines around a storm-felled tree. His face was pale, but his eyes opened when he heard the door. You gave it to him, she whispered. You really did. Didn't think I'd miss that kidney so much, Hudson rasped, voice half laugh, half grimace. You scared me. I scared myself. Rebecca sat beside him and took his hand. I owe you everything, she said. No, his grip tightened weakly. You don't owe me anything. You've given me more than I've ever had. There was a silence between them that said everything words couldn't. Then he added, I'd do it again, tomorrow, every day. For him. Rebecca leaned her forehead gently to his. I know. That night the city moved on without them. Markets opened. Cars honked. Headlines changed. But in room 212 and room 214, 2 lives healed, cut open to be stitched together, father to son, scar to scar. A week later, Liam was sitting up in bed, already bored. I need something harder than cartoons, he declared. My brain's melting. Hudson, in a wheelchair nearby, chuckled. Want to debug the hospital's Wi-Fi? Rebecca rolled her eyes. Please don't get us banned from the network. The three of them laughed, like they had been doing this for years. Hudson turned serious. I have a proposal. Rebecca raised an eyebrow. No, not that kind. Not yet, he added quickly. A real one, a plan. He glanced between them. I want to move you both into my house. Not for charity, not for show, because I want to wake up and see my son every day. And I want to build something real with you. Rebecca froze. Liam, unbothered, said, Do I get my own room? You'll have a whole floor. Cool. Rebecca blinked. You're serious. I've never been more. The house was not the same anymore. Hudson had it repainted. Not for style, but for warmth. Beige walls became soft gray. Cold marble floors gave way to worn rugs and scattered Lego pieces. The office no longer faced only the skyline. It opened toward a small bedroom, now filled with science posters, coding books, and one 6-year-old with a stubborn streak and a scar on his belly. 2 months had passed since the transplant. Liam was thriving, eating, running, asking bigger questions than any adult could easily answer. And Hudson? He was finally still. Not idle, not soft, but anchored. One Saturday morning they went to the park. Liam ran ahead, his robot swinging from his backpack like a cape. The early summer light filtered through the trees, and the sounds of dogs barking, children shouting, and sneakers on pavement filled the air with life. Hudson carried a thermos of black coffee in one hand, and something else in his pocket. Rebecca walked beside him, her fingers grazing his arm like she still wasn't sure this was real. You know, she said, Liam asked me last night if you used to be a superhero. Hudson smirked. What did you say? I said no, but that he was turning into one. He already is. They reached the swings. Liam leapt onto one and grinned. Higher, Dad. Hudson stepped behind him. You sure? Trust me, I've calculated the arc. He laughed and gave a gentle push. Liam squealed with delight as he rose into the air, his sneakers slicing through sunlight. Rebecca watched them from the bench, arms crossed against her chest, eyes wide with something tender, something deep. Hudson sat beside her after a while, quiet, thoughtful. I've rewritten my will, he said. She turned. Everything goes to Liam, but I've left instructions. If anything happens to me, you manage it all. Not my board, not my partners, you. Rebecca was silent for a moment. You really trust me like that? I gave you my kidney, Rebecca. My son, my life. You've earned more than trust. She swallowed. That's a lot. Hudson reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Not charity, not obligation, not guilt. I want to ask you something. Not as Hudson Graves. Not as CEO, not even as Liam's father. She stared at him. I'm asking as the man who never believed in second chances, until he got 2 of them. One from a woman he failed, and one from a boy he never knew existed. He opened the box. A single diamond, clean, elegant, real. Rebecca Holloway, will you marry me? She blinked. Tears welled up instantly. Liam jumped off the swing just as she said yes. Mom, did he finally do it? She laughed, full and free. Yes, baby, he did. Liam ran and leapt into their arms, knocking both onto the grass. The robot bounced nearby, landing on its back and blinking in the sunlight. We're getting married? He asked. Hudson pulled both of them close. We already were. We just didn't say it out loud. The sun climbed higher. Around them, life went on. But in that moment, in that park, under nothing but sky and possibility, a man who once thought he had everything discovered what it truly meant to have a home. Not square footage, not status, but love that looked back at you with your own eyes and smiled.